Hey everybody, what's going on? We're back. It's the Gallop Out crew. Jackson, Ryan here for our friends at HPI Bet and Woodbine, covering the road to the Kentucky Derby. Last one on the week, we have the Fountain of Youth Stakes from South Florida, Hallandale Beach. Jackson, good field to end this week of stacked previews. This is the third Derby preview, Derby race going on, Derby prep race, I should say, going on this week. We also covered the Oaks. There is another Oaks prep at Gulfstream Park in the Devona Dale. However, that race historically kind of leads to the 1 turn 8 bells more than the Oaks, at least in my opinion. Not sure what yours is. So we're not covering that one necessarily, but we're going to cover the Fountain of Youth, the last of 14 races on Saturday.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people would probably argue this might be the strongest of the 4 races that we talked about this weekend. A lot of depth this field, a lot of horses coming from different places. It seems like the Fountain of Youth has, for a long time been one of the stronger preps of the entire spring meet or spring campaign, I should say. And this year is certainly no exception. It's a really good field.
Absolutely. Let's waste no time. Let's get into it. The number 1, Jackson Hole. Jackson, your thoughts on the rail horse and maybe your namesake?
I feel like that buyer on debut has been upgraded. I don't think it was always a 72. Do you have any?
It was not. It was a 57.
It was way lower, right? Okay. I'm glad I didn't just make that up. Yeah, because he came back. I wasn't in love with the debut. I thought he looked just okay, and the number came back really slow at the time. Then he came back at Fairgrounds, and look, he faced a really poor field. He had Lasix, but he did what he was supposed to do. He went to the front, got the job done, and ran even faster. So he might just be a horse that has needed a little bit of time, making his 3rd career start. He's supposed to probably move forward again. Is he good enough to beat this field from the rail? I don't know. Probably not, but he's one that's definitely on the improve.
Certainly on the improve. Next up, Rockies Balboa, not to be confused with the Brittany Russell trained Balboa. This one, Dale Romans, Luis Saez taking the mount for the first time, taking over for Junior Alvarado off of 2 back-to-back blowout victories.
Yeah, one of the themes we're going to talk about in this race is the speed, and he is certainly another one that has plenty of it, as he's been on the lead his last 4 races, really going 1 turn. So what are they going to do going 2 turns? I mean, I got to think the plan is to go. I mean, that's your best asset. You got to go to the front and see what happens. He's been facing some good horses, especially that race at Keeneland. That was a really strong field back in October. Hasn't quite lived up to that number, but last time I thought was a step back in the right direction against a field that was overmatched. But we'll see what happens with the 2 turns.
Yeah, next one, going back to 2 turns, is Talkin' for Danny Gargan, coming out of the Grade 2 Remsen Stakes, where this one was 4 wide both of the turns. Understandably, was a little bit tired as they came for home. Could definitely bounce back here, though, Jackson.
I don't think he's expected to run. I believe he is going to scratch based on what I read yesterday. If he does run, he does seem like one of the few horses that can probably close a little bit. The issue is he was horrible in the Remsen. I mean, I know he didn't have the greatest of trips, but boy, he never picked up his feet once, and he was 4-1 that day against a really good field. So we'll see where he ends up running. I believe he's supposed to run the Tampa Bay Derby next weekend.
There we go. The next up is Commandment, Brad Cox, Irad Ortiz, a runner I certainly like coming out of the Mucho Macho Man Stakes, winning that by open lengths. Jackson, your thoughts on this runner stretching out to 2 turns for the first time?
I'm with you, and I believe we have the same top pick in here in Commandment. I've had my eye on him ever since his debut at Keeneland when he just completely lost any chance at the start. It was a slow pace. I thought he ran really well to pass a good chunk of that field and galloped out like a horse that was going to love more distance. And he ran better second time out, had a much better trip that day, was more forward, which you like to see, got the job done. And then the Mucho Macho Man, he crushed that field. And I know he beat absolutely nothing in there. There was literally nothing behind him, but he did what he was supposed to do. He ran a 91 buyer. We saw that improved performance from him, galloped out super strongly. And I just think this is a horse that wants to run all day long. He's finally getting 2 turns. And with the amount of speed in this race, isn't he just going to sit a couple lengths off of it, tuck in, let those guys go too crazy in the front end and have every chance to go by them late?
That is certainly what I think. Jackson, I have a question for you regarding Commandment. I don't know if morning lines are out quite yet, but at the finish of this race, if Commandment were to win in the same fashion and improve that buyer speed figure again, is there a scenario where this is your favorite heading into the first Saturday in May when the next pool opens?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, if you remember, I think the narrative at this point is there's not really a standout at this time. You just go back 1 year ago, coming into this weekend, it was the exact same thing. Like this crop wasn't that good, blah, blah, blah. No one's really stood out. And then the same day, we saw Journalism and Sovereignty run, and they both won. And especially Journalism when he got that, was it a 105 buyer, I believe. And Sovereignty ran not quite that fast.
102.
Really impressive doing it. I mean, this is the time of year when they start to separate themselves. So, and especially with this horse being his first start round 2 turns, I mean, not much would surprise me if not only him, but a few others in here jumped up and they became the favorites for the Derby.
I agree. Commandment, certainly a contender to, step up into that row. Bravaro, who we talked about a little bit early on the first preview, is going to scratch out of the Rebel Stakes, end up in here at South Florida. Tyler Gaffalione aboard to ride, Saffie Joseph. This is one that can come from a little bit off the pace, I think. What are your thoughts here? Is this runner going to try again at the 2 turns after losing last time out to Nearly?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to find the odds.
I looked too. I couldn't find
it. Was 9-2, but yeah, I'll find
take that.
Bravaro is interesting in that he's going the right way. He's improved with his last few starts. Last time he was, he ran second to Nearly, who's probably the Derby favorite or co-favorite at this point. So, from that perspective, yeah, he's supposed to be a major contender in here. I wonder whether he's going to be better long-term going 1 turn, just based on how he ran 2 back, based on how he ran last time. He was, Nearly ran away from him late, and he got a really good trip in there. So I think this is definitely a test for him going against another good field, but we'll see what happens. I think he's going to be a decent price if you're a believer.
Should be a decent price and could step up. Might be one of those that's good to kind of key underneath and could factor in one of those horses. A horse that I think is interesting, that not in a way that I want to bet, but the fact that this horse winds up in here is Chief Wallaby for Bill Mott, Junior Alvarado. Obviously, they teamed up to win this race last year with Sovereignty. This horse won the debut on the same day Thunderously debuted, going 2 turns for Bill Mott. Not something that his runners typically do. Mott was quoted as saying for Thunderously, when it was noted that he was off the Derby trail, that the Derby was coming up, quote, a little quick. If that's the case, Chief Wallaby in here, that can't be a ringing endorsement for a trainer like Bill Mott. And I don't believe he's going to run. He seemed a little iffy the other day, Bill Mott, on what I read. Jackson, your thoughts on this one?
My understanding is they did not want to run here. They were going to run on Sunday an allowance race going 7 furlongs. That race did not fill. So they're going to go to plan B, and they're going to run in this race on Saturday in the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah, not exactly typical plan B, grade 2 Derby prep mile and a 16th.
Yeah. Look, I get it. He's only ran once. I think they wanted to get him one more start around 1 turn, get him some more foundation into him, get him a little more experience, and then stretch him out for the Florida Derby. That's obviously not going to end up happening now. So we'll see how he does. I don't love the vibes from that perspective, but he was impressive on debut. He looked loaded the whole way. Alvarado never really seemed like he thought he was going to lose. He just was kind of sitting on him throughout, and he beat the Puma, who's a nice horse as well. He has tactical speed. I'm curious to see how he runs. I'm not going to bet him just based on, doesn't seem like they want to run here, but he is intriguing for sure.
Very intriguing. Curious to see who turns up or what version of Chief Wallaby turns up, and maybe this horse does take a step forward going around 2 turns. Obviously, Bill Mott, very sharp trainer. The horse that has been well anticipated coming back off of one of the more, if not the most impressive 2-year-old victory is Napoleon Solo off of the grade 1 Champagne. You look at those internal fractions. Yes, the track was playing a little bit fast that day, but regardless, 22.5, 44 and 1, 107 and change, and then 134 for the mile. That is flying regardless, Jackson.
Yeah, I want to talk about running a field off their feet. That's exactly what he did. He said, I'm going to go as fast as I can early. If you guys want to try to keep up with me, good luck. And no one could, and he crushed that field. Where has he been since? Because they were like, oh, he ran too fast, we're not going to go to the Breeders' Cup. Don't know what that means, but here he is 5 months later, and there's a lot of speed in here. He's got to work really hard to get to the front. He also has to go 2 turns for the first time. I think there's also a little skepticism about the rail maybe being good that day in October the 4th. It wasn't huge, but it was at least noteworthy. So for me, if he's going to be one of the favorites, which he's going to be, I want to make him beat me in here. I want to see him do it again, but no doubt he's super intriguing prospect.
Yeah, he's very intriguing, but he's the horse that is going to have to beat me on Saturday. He's not one that is going to be on any of my tickets. I think he's a vulnerable favorite to kind of play against, as they could be looking forward to, the Florida Derby or the Bluegrass or any number of races beyond this one. This could just be a starting point, but regardless, he's clearly talented and could take a step up now as a 3-year-old. Next up, Bull by the Horns. What do you make of this one? I mean, we're going to get any price you want above probably 30-1 on this Saffie Joseph training.
If 8 of them line up across the track and they go 45 or 44.5 and it falls apart, then he can probably win. But I find that scenario to be unlikely.
Me as well. Next up, Global Aviator for Rohan Crichton. This one comes out of the Grade 3 Holy Bull after breaking the maiden on debut. Pretty slow pace on the maiden breaking performance. Did not get that in the Holy Bull. Rather fast pace where nearly drew off to win by a bunch. Was beaten by Bravaro pretty handily as well. Any thoughts on this one?
I don't hate him in here. I actually really liked him last time. I felt like they're kind of throwing him to the wolves a little bit because they're going 6 furlongs to a mile and 1/8. He missed a little bit of time, I believe. The debut was legitimately really good. I mean, if you go back to the runbacks in there, a lot of horses improved out of that performance. So maybe you want to upgrade the 85 a little bit. He made this huge eye-catching move on the turn to beat that field and did that into a slow pace too. So I thought it was really impressive. Obviously, he came back in the Holy Bull and wasn't nearly as good. So maybe he's a one-turn horse. Maybe that debut isn't as good as I think it is. But if he's going to be 20-1 here, which I don't think is unlikely, then maybe I try to fit him in on some horizontals as a long shot play. I'm not going to bet him to win in here, but he's maybe I give him one more chance.
There we go. We covered the Rebel Stakes earlier. We covered the Rebel Stakes earlier on these preview shows. And Jackson, you love Class President. What does that mean about your feelings for Solitude Dude, who beat Class President last time out in the Swale Stakes?
I'm curious how he does in here. The amount of speed in this race is concerning because that's his way to go is the front. He is drawn outside of the other speed, and he has rated before in that race 2 back successfully. That was his lowest figure. That was against a way worse field than what he's going to face on Saturday. But I'm not so sure 2 turns isn't in his wheelhouse because if you look at his pace figures in every single race to this point, they've gone up as the races have gotten longer, which is not something you typically see from sprinters that are on the lead. Usually it's the other way around. So from that perspective, that makes me think he might actually want to go the 2 turns, or at least might be okay around it. Again, at the end of the day, I think he might be a little up against it from pace perspective, but I can't find the morning line anywhere. I'm sorry. Maybe it's not up yet, and I'm just misread it. If he's going to be 5-1 in here, I think I would bet him. I just don't know if that's realistic.
I don't know that I would take 5-1 on him, to be honest. I don't know that I would take 10-1. I don't like this horse. I think I was showing the breeding. Bottom side looks sprinty. Top side Yaupons are pretty sprinty so far. Yep. I mean, I know that's a little early to tell for sure, but 25% sprinters, 10% routers, only 2 for 20 on the win end for dirt routers. Not for me, but I do understand the appeal. I think this is one that would be a good kind of Pat Day mile contender, that the 1-turn mile, because I'm with you. I think he has shown that he's gotten stronger late in some of those races, and his buyer figures have improved from the 6, 6.5, then to the 7. Not for me, though. Last one we'll talk about is Lost Money. I might find a little bit of money because I might try and sneak this horse in underneath and maybe in third, maybe to round out the super. I think you're going to get a generous price, and this is one we've talked about the pace scenario a little bit. This horse is a maiden. They're taking a big chance in here to throw him into some very, very deep waters. But I think this one can maybe close a little bit towards new penthouse owner, or with new penthouse owner Javier Castellano aboard.
Yeah, maybe he just drops out the back and makes one run from off the pace. But to me, he's just too slow at this point.
Yeah, likely too slow. I'd take a shot underneath. But on terms of our picks, Jackson, you and I both land on the number 4 Commandment. I think Napoleon Solo is going to be the favorite. What price do we get on the number 4 Commandment in the Fountain of Youth?
I don't know. Napoleon Solo's got to be a favorite, right?
Yes.
I feel like he has to be.
Yes.
So 4-1-ish. I mean, I would take him at 4-1. This race betting wise for me is all going to be depending on the odds. I like Commandment here. If he's a similar price to Solitude Dude, I will take Commandment. But if there's a big discrepancy between the two, then I would probably switch to Solitude Dude. But I feel like Commandment's got to be around that 7-2, 4-1 range.
I'm thinking 5-2, 3-1. I'm thinking he's going to be pretty. I don't want anything under 5-2, but if he's 5-2, I'd be more than happy taking that on the win end, because I feel like he's one of those horses where he's done very little wrong so far. And I know sometimes those blowout victories can be a little bit deceiving, because when they get into a dogfight, sometimes they fold, and sometimes you have a real good horse, but it's tough to tell for until they're kind of up against it, or they have to really dig in and try their best. But he's passed every test so far. I got to take a chance on him stretching out to 2 turns for the first time. And yeah, I mean, if he passes this test, I don't think we're getting 5-2 on him in the Florida Derby. And then if he passes that test, who knows what you get moving forward from him. So this might be one of the last chances on a horse that I think is a very, very strong contender moving forward.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be 5-2. There's too many options in this race. I think Jackson Hole could even take a little bit of money. The Mott horse is definitely going to take money. Chief Wallaby, there's a lot of buzz about that one. Obviously, Napoleon Solo will take his share. Safi's got 2.
Maybe be interesting.
I think it'll be about 7-2, 4-1.
I would absolutely love that. Jackson, 4 consecutive shows, 4 previews for this week's upcoming races. 1 show?
1 to go.
2 to go. You are bad at counting. But please, on the HPI newsletter, if you haven't already, check this one out. Check out the Rebel preview we did. Check out the Honeybee for the Kentucky Oaks, and check out the Gotham up at Aqueduct at the Big A. 3 Derby preps, 1 Oaks prep. Jackson, thank you as always for joining me. Thank you guys for watching, and we will see you